Hello everyone, welcome to this video where we will be discussing the recent earthquake that struck Turkey. As we all know, earthquakes can cause significant damage and loss of life, and it's important to be informed and prepared for such events. In this video, we will take a detailed look at the recent earthquake in Turkey, its causes, and its impact. Overview of the earthquake. The earthquake occurred on February 6, 2023 in southern and central Turkey, as well as northern and western Syria. It had a magnitude of 7.8 on the Richter scale, which makes it a significant earthquake. The earthquake was felt in 32.4 kilometers, 20.1 miles, west-northwest of Gaziantep and caused damage to buildings and infrastructure in the affected areas. Causes of the earthquake. The location of the earthquake places it within the vicinity of a triple junction between the Anatolian, Arabian, and African plates. The mechanism and location of the earthquake are consistent with it having occurred in either the East Anatolian Fault Zone or the Dead Sea Transform. The East Anatolian Fault accommodates the westward extrusion of Turkey into the Aegean Sea, while the Dead Sea Transform accommodates the northward motion of the Arabian Peninsula, relative to the Africa and Eurasia plates. The East Anatolian Fault is a 700-kilometer long, 430 miles, northeast-southwest left lateral transform fault which forms the boundary between the Anatolian and Arabian plates. The fault displays slip rates that decrease from the east at 10 mm, 0.39 in, per year to the west where it is 1 to 4 mm, 0.039 to 0.157 in, per year. The fault produced large earthquakes in 1789, M7.2, 1795, M7.0, 1872, M7.2, 1874, M7.1, 1875, M6.7, 1893, M7.1, and 2020 MW6.8. These earthquakes ruptured individual segments of the fault. The seismically active Palu and Puturge segments in the east display a recurrence interval of about 150 years for M6.8 to 7.0 earthquakes. The Pazark and Amanos segments in the west have recurrence intervals of 237 to 772 years and 414 to 917 years, respectively, for M7.0 to 7.4 earthquakes. This intracontinental transform fault is the second largest strike-slip fault in Turkey. Unlike along the North Anatolian Fault which produced 11 large earthquakes during the 20th century, the East Anatolian Fault was seismically quiet. The Palu-Sinsik and Silikan-Turkulu segments were identified as seismic gaps. Up to 1.5 meters, 4 feet 11 in, and 5.2 meters, 17 feet, of slip have accumulated along the Palu-Sinsik and Silikan-Turkulu segments, respectively, since major earthquakes. These segments have accumulated enough strain to produce MW 7.4 and 7.7 earthquakes. The Palu-Sinsik segment measures 135 kilometers, 84 miles, consisting of the Palu-Shivaris, 50 kilometers, 31 miles, and Shivaris-Sinsik, 85 kilometers, 53 miles, segments, located between Palu, Elazığ, and Sinsik. The 1874 and 1875 earthquakes occurred along the Palu-Sinsik segment. The Silikan-Turkulu segment runs for 140 kilometers, 87 miles. It comprises the Silikan-Golbaz, 50 kilometers, 31 miles, and Golbaz-Turkulu, 90 kilometers, 56 miles, segments. The last known major earthquake on the Silikan-Turkulu segment occurred in 1513, estimated at magnitude 7.4. Impact of the earthquake. There were at least 38,044 deaths, and 108,068 injured across the 10 most affected provinces in Turkey, including some casualties also in adjacent Elazığ and Batman provinces. At least 13.5 million people and 4 million buildings have been affected. Thousands were trapped under rubble when buildings collapsed. Some of those trapped live-streamed their pleas for help on social media. The Ministry of Environment, Urbanization and Climate Change conducted damage inspections for 763,000 buildings. At least 41,791 buildings in 10 Turkish provinces were heavily damaged or destroyed, 114, leaving about 150,000 people homeless. A damage assessment by the Turkish government revealed at least 61,722 buildings would have to be demolished, including 11,900 in Gaziantep province, 10,900 in Hatay province, 10,800 in Kahramanmaraş province and 6,600 in Malatya province. The earthquake caused broad fissures on roads. During recovery efforts, body parts were often found in the rubble. Response to the earthquake. The Turkish government, along with various local and international organizations, responded quickly to the earthquake, providing relief and aid to the affected areas. Various countries and organizations have responded to the earthquake. At least 105 countries and 16 international organizations pledged support for victims of the earthquake, including humanitarian aid. More than 11 countries provided teams with search and rescue dogs to locate victims under the debris, and monetary support was offered as well. However, outreach to Syria was less enthusiastic because of the Western sanctions on the country. This caused a delay in delivering much-needed help and aid to millions of people in these areas of northwest Syria. These areas have been largely without access to critical search and rescue reinforcements and life-saving aid since the earthquake struck southern Turkey and northern Syria. Arab League Secretary General Ahmed Abul Gheit called for international assistance to help those affected by this humanitarian catastrophe. European Union, EU. The European Union's European Civil Protection Mechanism, in which Turkey participates despite not being a member of the EU, was activated at the request of Turkey. The EU dispatched 31 rescue teams and 5 medical teams from 23 member states to Turkey and Syria, committed €3 million and €3.5 million to Turkey and Syria respectively, and announced a donor conference to raise money. 404. The Copernicus program was also activated to provide emergency mapping services and other help. North Atlantic Treaty Organization, NATO. NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg said that member countries were mobilizing support. The strategic airlift capability was used to transport search and rescue equipment. NATO deployed fully equipped semi-permanent shelter facilities to house displaced persons in Turkey. Flags at NATO headquarters were also lowered to half-mast. United Nations, UN. Several United Nations agencies announced coordinated responses to the disaster, including UNDAC, OCHA, UNHCR, UNICEF and IOM. The World Health Organization's Regional Director for Europe, Hans Kluge, said the organization's regional offices were assisting international efforts to transport medicine and relief equipment. The UN released $25 million from its emergency fund for humanitarian assistance in Turkey and Syria. A second $25 million grant was released for relief efforts in Syria. UN sent humanitarian aid to Syria through Turkey via the Bab al-Hawa border crossing. On 14 February, the UN appealed for €396 million to help survivors in Syria. World Bank. The World Bank said it would provide $1.78 billion in aid for Turkey to support the relief and recovery process. We are providing immediate assistance and preparing a rapid assessment of the urgent and massive needs on the ground, said World Bank President David Malpass. Preparing for earthquakes. Earthquakes are a natural phenomenon that can occur anywhere and anytime, and it's essential to be prepared for such events. Prepare for a probable earthquake by creating a family plan that includes how to contact each other and where to meet. Learn how to act in the case of an earthquake by participating in simulations in your community/workplace/school. Talk to your children about what to do if there is an earthquake, and especially, what to do if they are alone when one occurs. Locate the safest places in your home/workplace/school to take shelter in an earthquake, and identify evacuation routes. Keep emergency telephone numbers close at hand: civil defense, ambulance, hospitals, fire department, police, etc. Make sure you have sufficient emergency supplies, including clean water, non-perishable foods, prescription drugs, first aid kit, batteries, radio, and food for pets. Keep important documents such as passports or identity documents with you. Prepare an emergency backpack/kit in case you have to evacuate the area. If there is a pregnant woman in the family, prepare a pregnancy kit with medical documents, medicines, and other things that might be necessary if she is hospitalized for delivery or any complication. By being informed and prepared, we can minimize the impact of earthquakes and keep ourselves and our loved ones safe. Conclusion. In conclusion, the recent earthquake in Turkey was a significant event that had a significant impact on the affected areas. We must learn from this event and be better prepared for earthquakes in the future. Thank you for watching this video, and we hope you found it informative and helpful. Stay safe and take care.